So we're looking at this book, and what we've been doing, the first 100 pages talk about methodology. What is history? What is truth? What is the burden of proof, etc., for the historian? And we've just gone through a few of the important issues, and there's issues about text. If we have a skeptical view of text, or more of an open view of ancient text, if you're more skeptical and saying that you're not going to accept anything from any ancient text unless that text can prove itself to be reliable, then you're not going to believe much, because very few ancient texts can actually verify the historical pedigree. Where did they come from? Who wrote it? So you've got to be careful. Or do you accept a text if it has some kind of historiography behind it, if it has an author and a tradition behind that author, etc.? So too much skepticism leads to uncertainty in historical inquiry. Then there's the issue of certainty. You can have very high probability, extremely improbable, very improbable. Different historians have different degrees of what they call probability. Then you have the issue of miracles, and this is what we're going to read now. Can we discuss that Christ rose from the dead as a historian? So we're looking at technical issues of methodology, which are really important. This book goes into it in a deep way. He goes, although numerous replies to Hume have been offered, his thesis remains influential even after more than 200 years. Dunn writes, as David Hume had earlier pointed out, it is more probable that the account of a miracle is an untrue account than that the miracle recounted actually took place. Even many conservative Christian scholars would not object to the principle that if a competing hypothesis to Jesus' resurrection were at least equal weight to the hypothesis that Jesus rose from the dead, then for that matter of historical adjudication, the natural theory should be preferred. Hume's thesis is valuable since it begs the historian to be extra cautious when considering the historicity of miracle claims. However, I will highlight a few responses that weaken his contention that a miracle is can never be established. Hume's first point is that witness to miracles are never good enough to prefer their testimony over an alternative natural explanation. According to Hume, the testimony of any reliable event must have the following credentials in order to qualify a historical event. It must be attested by a sufficient number of witnesses of unquestioned good sense, education and learning, of such undoubted integrity as to place them beyond all suspicion of deceit. However, these witnesses are to be of such high reputation in the eyes of others that they would have much to lose of lying. The thing about David Hume's criteria for miracles, it's interesting that he actually did an investigation to miracles in France during the time of Pascal and the French Catholics, and he actually verified the miracles. The miracles actually fitted David Hume's criteria, yet David Hume still didn't become a Christian. So there we are. So that's the question about miracles and the resurrection. Basically, a skeptic cannot say miracles can or cannot take place. What a skeptic has to do, if they're intellectually honest, is to investigate the historical data and see what the data is telling them. That's the honest intellectual thing to do. Okay, so that's all methodology. We'll get into a little bit of detail now on some evidence.